Cancel.
Schweezy.
All right, it is the last. I guess this is the first episode of the year, but it's the final episode I'm making in 2023. Even though it comes out in 2024, I want to talk about all my favorite albums that have come out in 2023 as I shake this desk nonstop. This year, music was kind of weird. I feel like everyone worked on so much shit in 2020 when we were all locked up, and then a lot of 2021 releases, a lot of 2022 releases. But I think most bands either released the ones that really wanted to spend their time on it, or other things really decided to go hard and get it done this year. And then, I have 12 albums I want to talk about today. 10 of my top favorite, and then 2 others. So first things first, I want to talk about just albums that came out this year. I used to call this albums that are bad, but I wish weren't. But this album was just bad, and I just don't see any redemption for this. This album that I want to talk about and say was the worst album I listened to this year. That really should have, that from a band that I expect more from. Paramore, This Is Why. If you've listened to this album, I have a lot of friends who say they put this on their top. I don't believe this should be, and part of me believes this is part of, what Paramore, I just think Paramore did not attempt to make a good album. What this album feels like is... The best way to describe it, I don't know how to describe East Nashville to people who are not from that area or don't really get it, but this is like people in East Nashville sniffing their own farts. If this album was just sniffing your own farts, that is what Paramore's This Is Why would be. And it's just so disappointing to see Paramore release such a shitty album and then attempt to release a remix album of a shitty album. Like, what, did you redo if you redo this entire thing and put entirely new songs on it and, actually try to do a good job, I think This Is Why by Paramore could be a good album, but the fact they had to release a remix album, this album's not doing good. If you release a remix album, usually it means, an album's not doing too good, and you're trying to boost some streams there, bud. Just the whole album was it had this disco, lo-fi, old school type of feel, but the songs weren't good. That's the thing. These songs on this album were not good. This is why I don't leave the house. Say goodbye. And there's na 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 na, na 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 na. It's I just don't understand how people can. I don't know how far in a process you can get to, especially being such a big band like Paramore, and to release such fucking dog shit. It's I walked across a room today, and then I noticed something's not there today. Na 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 na. This is why. It was just a fucking shit album, and this is coming from someone who is the biggest Paramore fan. All We Know Is Falling. I used to be my least favorite album, and it was only because they were literal children when they wrote it and put it together, and even then, it was still great. Riot, instant classic. Classic. That is a classic album. The Butterfly one, is it? No, that's not All We Know Is Falling, but the Butterfly one, great album. Grudges, Blame It. I think it was Next time you point a finger, I'll have to break it, bend it back and break it off. My favorite Paramore song, that album. And then, self-titled, that was just a big change for the band. Still worked. After Laughter, still worked. This Is Why, smelling your own farts. That is what I conclude This Is Why by Paramore is. If an album could... This album is basically people who like to smell their own farts, and that's what that album is. Under my honorable mentions this year, I want to put Taylor Swift's 1989 Taylor's version. Now, I think this is one of the best albums. 1989 is one of the best albums that of the 2010s, maybe of all time. It is just a solid, phenomenal album. It was written at a time Taylor was wanting to do something different, and I feel like when bands want to do something different, and they're still really passionate about making good songs, not just like, let's make an album that way we can tour and make money and shit like that. It was just like, at this point in Taylor's career, it was just a solid album that needed to be made. Like, pop music needed that album, synth pop, everything that needed it. It put Jack Antonoff on the map. Now he makes dog shit music, but he used to make fucking god tier. He used to have god tier music productions. So outside the box, so perfect. Why it's on honorable mentions? It's a previously released album. But there's some differences, but like at the same time, it's like when Taylor released this album, I was like, I'm not listening to it right now. Why? I'm not in the mood to listen to 1989 right now. I know what this album sounds like. I know there's some B-sides and shit like that. But at the same time, like, I'm not in the mood to listen to 1989. When Taylor releases her, re-recorded stuff, and I want to listen to that album, I always go for the re-recorded one. Obviously, I want to, support artists supporting artists, But yeah, it has to fall under honorable mention. I feel like most people can just conclude why it needs to be on the honorable mention. Now we can get into our top 10 list, the list of the day of my top 10 favorite albums of all time. Number 10, we're going with Boy Genius, The Record. Boy Genius is made up of Phoebe Bridgers, Lucy Dacus, and Julian Baker. It's just a trio of ladies, queer ladies, I believe. I don't know what Lucy's all about. I know what Julian and Phoebe are all about. So sorry, Lucy. It's Lucy. I think it is Lucy Dacus, right? If I say it wrong, I'm just gonna call her that from now on. So that's cool. I like Boy Genius a lot, and I thought this album was good. It's just, it sounds like Phoebe Bridgers and Julian Baker, and it's at a point. I think those two artists are great in themselves, and especially Phoebe. I think Phoebe is just phenomenal. Her voice is just so beautiful. Like, just the way she knows how to sing, it's just very beautiful. But I don't know, like, there's so many like copycat clones of this, it's just like, do I want real Phoebe Bridgers, or could I just go for like a Walmart, like when you're at the store, you're like, yeah, there's the off brand and the name brand, and Phoebe Bridgers is the name brand, but off brands are good too, like don't deny it until you try it. I mean, but like I said, Boy Genius, they're great. They've been doing like country covers. Every time I see like their YouTube stuff, it's like country covers. They did Cowboy Take Me Away. I just feel like three women, and most of them, if you put all three of those girls together, and like how, the percentage of all three of them together, like how attracted they are to men, it's hard to, you know what I'm saying? But no, all of them are good. A big problem that's not related to their music, but my college dorm roommate, he looks like Julian Baker, and I don't know who's complimenting who. He got bitches. My roommate got bitches. He got some hot bitches. A little bit. I don't know what to say about him. I don't hate him. He's just like one of those guys. He's one of those guys. You're like, yeah, we probably wouldn't have chose to be roommates if we, or whatever. But yeah, that's Boy Genius, The Record. Number 10 on my list, just because it's just like I don't think about picking up that album, but I do think it's good. Number 9, as we're getting into, number 9 is Olivia Rodrigo's album Guts. This is her sophomore album. I would consider it her sophomore album, behind Sour. Sour was great. It really surprised me, and when I listened to Sour, my whole like mindset was like, this fucking kid, I'm just jealous of her parents forcing her into show business at a young age, and her being like, I like this, I'm gonna keep doing this, and like just her having those opportunities. Part of me hates that, and she's like the hip, cool person to listen to, and my punk rockness says like, fuck that, I don't, but she does have a good one. Sour was like a phenomenal album. It really blew me away when I listened to it, and eventually just like shut the fuck up and be like, you know what, that was actually pretty good. Guts, however, I don't feel like it has that momentum. It feels like she was making, to me, what Guts really sounded like. You know, Vampire was fun, and Vampire really seemed like they wrote it as like something they wanted to get trending on TikTok, because like the rest of the song doesn't really, do it for me. Me like a queen, like a goddamn vampire. And those little vocal fries that kids do now. I'm a music teacher. I'm a kind of music teacher. I talk to kids about singing, and I'll be like, yeah, you need to sing normal, and then you can sing like that. That's because you got to learn how to like breathe properly. Because like, meet me like a queen, like a goddamn vampire. Like you gotta meet me like a queen, like a goddamn vampire. You gotta learn how to do it right. So it's hard, talking to kids. And this Phoebe Bridgers is not much better, to be honest with you. Phoebe does not help the vocal fry situation and people trying to teach kids to sing, and me, at least on the other hand, I'm like, I'm okay if they do vocal fry, but like, there's a way, if like you hum, a fun trick for those of you who don't sing, humming like, the way you do it is like you're basically singing, so your tongue has to be freely moving. Your teeth can't be together because if your teeth are together, I don't know if you heard that difference, but like your teeth vibrate inside because sound is just vibrations. Where am I at? Oh yeah, so yeah, this album had like 2 songs I want to listen to, but like the replay value of this, I was like, I don't even, I listen to like the hits on the album. Like, I'm not even that really into the hits too much, but I still think it's better than This Is Why by Paramore. I mean, like, every album is better than This Is Why by Paramore. I think, it feels like, I don't know, I just feel like Guts seems like B-sides from Sour kind of made into songs, and it's like, they're B-sides for a reason, With B-sides, it's like, yeah, you have some good songs that don't really fit the album, but like these feel like B-sides that they're just kind of like, yeah, I wrote some songs, sir. I just don't feel confident in them, and her production technique is like high. It's like a high budget studio trying to sound like shit too, which is a whole thing in itself. So it's hard, it's bad, and
somehow Palpatine returned.
So just a lot of fucking stuff there. That's number 9, Olivia Rodrigo's Guts. Number 8, Sufjan Stevens' Javelin. Now, I feel like I just have not been able to give this album the time it needs, but it's Sufjan Stevens, and he is, I don't know, what he does insanely well. That's what Sufjan Stevens does. This album's about a boyfriend dying, and that's the kind of shit it wasn't Carrie and Lowell about his mom dying, Like, Sufjan's technique, he can't write an album unless someone dies. I don't know. Did someone die when he wrote Illinois? It was good. But Javelin, I feel like it's good. I feel like maybe 2024, I may like it a little bit more than I do right now. But yeah, as of right now, I'm putting it at 8 right now. Like, I always feel like a lot of times I do these lists and then I find another album that I like really enjoyed, and I'm like, I can't believe I missed this last year. What was I doing? And I think like Javelin, I really want to make sure I put Javelin here because I think it's great. Javelin by Sufjan Stevens is great. However, I just don't think I've had enough time to sit with it yet. And it's weird because there's so many albums, and when we get to the top 5 of my list, I feel like my top 5 are like 5 albums I had on repeat pretty much almost like from the moment they came out, and stuff like that. And I'm excited to see, if I become more favorable of Javelin by Sufjan. So I'm excited for that. Excited to see what I see here. Number 7, a little bit of a curveball, but not really. I want to put Alex Melton's Southern Charm on here. Now, however, this is a full album of cover songs. Alex Melton, if you don't know, Alex Melton makes just weekly YouTube cover videos. Usually he usually keeps up weekly. If he doesn't, like I'm the one who's understand. I'm like, yeah, it takes a while to make songs, but Southern Charm, Alex Melton, the first half is country songs done pop punk. And then the second half of the album is pop punk songs done country. So it's very cool. His cover of Secrets is probably one of the best versions out there. Downfall of Us All by A Day to Remember. He did a cover of that country. You got to play it with them live. Like his version was that good. The actual band was like, please do this with us live. We're going to be doing this version anytime we do like a set like this because you just fucking figured it out. There's some songs he did on it. He did Friends in Low Places, which, where are the bodies? Fucking G. Where are the fucking bodies? He did, I was southbound, got it from a black t-shirt, and me in that mini skirt. And that Tim McGraw song. Railroad tracks. And then he did Cowboy Take Me Away, which is a really good version. The pop punk version of that. He did Body Like a Backward, like just some bro country stuff. Like he just did really well. And I'm just like, maybe I do like bro country. It just has to be done in a pop punk style, Alex Melton is just super phenomenal. If you haven't checked out his YouTube stuff yet, he does covers all the time. He released other EPs this year, but I really wanted to point out Southern Charm from Alex Melton. I think it's really good. And if you're listening, you're like, who is this fucking guy? You probably seen his YouTube shit. So definitely go check that out. Southern Charm, Alex Melton. Everyone get into this. Number 6, Black Bear, In Loving Memory. I know this album came out in 2022, but no one was talking about it, and I didn't hear about it until this year. So this is the year it's added to. I'm giving it to this year. It's a 2023 album. I'm giving it to Black Bear. Black Bear, known for kind of his alternative hip hop style. Like he's in the same zone like Trippie Reed. It's Reed. Yeah, it's Reed. Machine Gun Kelly, hip hop with a little bit of pop punk combined. Like really, people want to talk shit. Like, I don't consider Machine Gun Kelly the like face of pop punk, but like if you ask me the question, is Machine Gun Kelly punk? I would say absolutely yes. He does everything, he checks off all the boxes to be a punk guy. And he does it just because like you don't always do punk music doesn't mean you can't be punk. Punk is an attitude and a lifestyle. It's not music. And, you think about it at the end of the day, all music genres are not, like, you think about it, they're not, like, actual genre music. It's, like, a style. It's, like, a way someone described something and then people made music under that little folder, It's, like, think about it. What is pop music? Pop is short for popular, and that's what it means. So it's popular music. And so you consider it, this is music that everyone wants to listen to. There's a reason why it's popular because everyone likes it. That's what pop music really is. And people say, oh, like, some top 40 type stuff. What is top 40? Oh, it's stuff that on like a Billboard chart or other whatever chart you recognize, basically saying that like, oh, this is the stuff that would trend there, what is blues music, blues music used to be just like, people talking about why they're sad, like what's going on with their lives and like why they have the blues, that's what blues music is. Alternative, what is alternative music? It's just, there's the stuff they play on the radio. This is not that. This is alternative stuff. So if you don't like that, here is your alternative, that's like what all music genres are. It's just like weird descriptions of something that turn into like everyone needs to sound a certain way to fall under this genre. Black Bear, I gotta say, In Loving Memory. And the thing I love about this album is it all feels like love songs, but the thing is they're not about like bitches, It's about, he's talking about his dad passing away, and he didn't seem like he had the best relationship with his dad. So, even if some of you will learn, like, even when someone died, if, like, a parent dies and you weren't close with them, it's still rough, That's what some people think, is like someone's, like, in no contact with their parents or whatever, and then, like, their parent dies, and you're just like, oh, I guess they don't fucking care. I'm like, yeah, they do care. There's a reason they had to go no contact with someone, is because they do care, Life is hard that way, and I think Black Bear, we described it. I wish this album was more popular. It just feels like with a lot of these album cycles, like especially this year, it just seems like no one gave, like people either really give a shit or give no shits at all. Like no one cares at all. And I've just been feeling that way. And that's what this album really felt like. Just no one cared about it, even though like just a ton of solid songs on it, you know? You like one, it's also Travis Barker produced it, you know, and Travis Barker can do no wrong. He hasn't made a bad production. Just saying. And if you're really into, you know, I like to think of a lot of this stuff. If you don't like the named artist under it, just think about it as Travis Barker featuring blank, and then you'll feel better about it. Trust me. And now we get to go into our top 5. These are the top 5 albums that I have been just streaming nonstop this entire year. And I think really all these albums, I really could place these all at number 1 because I think these all albums are great, but I did rank them as hard as it was for me. And it's really on like really how much I listen to it and how much I just really love it, you know? Number 5, Hot Mulligan. Why would I watch? Hot Mulligan, if for those of you who've never listened to Hot Mulligan, first of all, go listen to Hot Mulligan. They're probably one of the best bands out right now. Like I try not to give that title lightly to people. I don't like to give that title out to a lot of people. I've given it to like Hot Mulligan, the 1975, my friends in Ravener. Like those are, I try not to give it to them. But Hot Mulligan, they're the one band that is uniting old emo fans and new emo fans together. The songs are all phenomenal. Like, and they're all like the classic emo song titles that you love. Like they had one song that was like, not on this album, but like, it was like featuring Mark Hoppus, you know, because I guess everyone was featuring, you know, funny joke. It's like, how do you know they're not armadillo shells? You know, like old emo lyrics that like song titles, they're just long for no reason. Just absolutely fucking phenomenal. Shh, Golf is on, phenomenal song. No Shoes in the Coffee Shop, great one. He had his song about like the singer wrote a song about his fucking dead rat. I'm like, it's a rat, dude. But like, I can see why you're upset. It's your pet, But overall, Hot Mulligan, I don't know. Like, it's hard to be like, fuck those guys. Those guys are so good. If you don't know who Hot Mulligan is, oh my god, because people don't even know if they're emo, Midwest emo, alternative, punk. Like no one knows what they are, but what they are, what I can tell you they are, is incredible. So why would I watch Hot Mulligan, number 5 album of the year, and could be higher if I wanted to. Number 4 artist, the album goes to Knox. I'm So Good at Being Alone. Knox is, I swear, I might be wrong here, but I do feel like I played a show with him one time, like maybe like maybe like a festival or something. I just remember seeing I feel like I remember seeing his name somewhere before. He's a Nashville guy too. Phenomenal. Basically, I would say if you like the band Camino and if you like pop punk, but you also really like poppy stuff, like he is just a good artist to get into right there. He releases a lot of music. This year, I think he released Love Letter, You Sounded, They Don't Mean Nothing Now, They Don't Mean Nothing Now, but love is only 4 letters, but you'll never catch you saying them out loud. That one was trending on TikTok a lot. He also had Not the 1975, which was a good song. He's like, maybe I like your confidence, but you're not the 1975. They have like this one lyric that I absolutely love. Girl, I might not be famous yet, but I'm going to put you in a song that I write. And I fucking, like I feel that in my soul when they said that. That was very much like, get into my soul when you say that. But no, I'm So Good at Being Alone. Phenomenal. Miss When You Miss Me. Also a great song off that album. One that I listen to, like, you can just do that. Man Down, chef's kiss. Definitely, if you haven't heard of Knox, you like, like alternative, you like pop punk, and you also like super poppy stuff, definitely something to get into, especially, you know, for the fellas out there and you're like, I have a girlfriend and she likes super poppy stuff and I like pop punk, you know, like Nox. Get her into Nox. Nox is great. And I love that name too, Nox too. And I'm kind of upset he has it and I don't. I would fuck it. You know, it's a cool name. Number 3 on our list, we're getting close to number 1. Number 3 on our list is Fall Out Boy, So Much for Stardust. I have been a Fall Out Boy fan longer than I bet some of you have even been alive, you know. I think 2004, 2005 is when From Under the Cork Tree came out. That's when I first learned of them. I figured out Take This to Your Grave too. I got that too. And you know, Take This to Your Grave, From Under the Cork Tree, just, oh my God. Like, it's hard to think about, like, you think about, like, Fall Out Boy kind of being, like, sellouts today and, you know, selling out, but, like, when you listen to those two albums, you're like, I guess they earned it, you know? Like, you learn that. And then, what I loved about this album so much for Stardust. So, for those of you who don't know, Fall Out Boy, when they started out, they had, like, an evening out with your girlfriend, which was like demos that like a record label released when Fall Out Boy didn't want to, so it doesn't count as their first album. Then they have Take This to Your Grave, their first album, just a fucking banger because they just, you know, they it took them some time to figure it out, but once they figured it out, Take This to Your Grave was when they figured it out, and it was, whew, you know, like. The first song gets me, you know, when you can get when you have a perfect album and then the first song gets you, you're like, fuck, dude. At least that, and then they released Infinity on High. Now, when middle school, high school me, when that album came out, I thought that's when Fall Out Boy sold out because that's when like fame just like hit them like a brick. And then they released, is it Fully Ado? Is that that one? Yeah, it's Fully Ado. That album was great too, and that was very much like Patrick. You know, you could definitely tell it was like a record label's band at that point. You know, then they went on hiatus, and we all wish they would get back together. Then they got back together. They released "Light 'Em Up, Light," and we like that. And then it was just like, oh, Fall Out Boy just fucking sold out. And you're like, they kept listening. They were releasing so many songs so fast, which they even talk about regretting and doing like features and shit like that. You're like. Oh, I guess this is Fall Out Boy selling out. Like, they didn't sell out before. They were just, like, making music and were just famous. Like, they had sold out. They were trying to make, like... Because they were basically making songs for, like, commercials and, like, to play, like, in between whatever fucking thing they have to do during football games. You know, like, they do something. They do nothing, and then they're like, we have to stop now. And then they go back to doing nothing, you know, whatever football games do. Like, they were definitely, like... And, you know, it makes sense. Like, when Pete and Patrick got back together, you know, that time they were just like, you know what, let's just do this for money. And they did kind of mention, like, they're like, we're kind of doing this for money. We want to do it right, you know. And then, you know, the pandemic happened, you know, life happened and shit like that. And then they released this album. This album feels like a follow-up to Folia Do. Like, this is the album I wanted when they went on hiatus the first time. Or I guess the only time, I guess. They've just... I don't know, you know, I don't know what they were doing, but like when after Folia Do and they came back, started making garbage, like this is the album like I think we were expecting from them when they came out with that. And it's just so good. Hold Me Like a Grudge. Like, I think like this album, I feel like it's finally like a somewhat return to form with just Pete Wentz's just great lyrical ideas. You know, I think this is Pete really put it into him, and he even switched basses. He went from Fender to Squire to Ernie Ball. So, cool for him. But so much for Stardust, number 3. Now we'll move on to number 2. This album, for a majority of this year, I have to say this is number 2, my second favorite album of the year, and I gotta say, it was number 1 for the longest time. What is this album? This is a band, Honey Revenge Retrovision. This is their debut album. They released a bunch of singles. If you don't know who Honey Revenge are, they are a duo. They have a full band live, but it's Devin and Donnie, I believe. And it's pop punk. It's like basically how I don't want to compare them to Paramore because girl with colored hair as the lead singer, like I don't want to fall into that trope, you know. But this is the album I wish Paramore would have released this year. And I'm saying that all as a compliment to Honey Revenge because this album was probably my most streamed album of this year. Once you hear number one, you'll only know that just because of the release dates. But Honey Revenge is Retrovision. Solid fucking album. This is their first debut album coming from nowhere to this, and they put everything into this. Retrovision, everything was into it. I can talk about breakup. It talked about breakups, being in love. It has everything for everyone. Devin, the singer, fucking phenomenal. You don't expect her voice to come out of her, but it does, and you're like, holy fucking shit. She is so good. The first song on the album, Airhead, and it's funny because if on their live shows, like, this is the dumb bitch anthem. So if you're a dumb bitch, get ready. I'm like, fucking, damn, I'm such an airhead, no strength in my spine. Rerun, that's like their big hit. There's the track 2 on the album, I can't remember. Seeing Negative, that one's fucking great. It's hard to pick a favorite off that album because that whole front to back, like, it's a no skip album. It's no skips. Like, I really don't see a need to skip any song. I'm just like, I could even think of like the song I least like, and you're like, no, that's still a pretty good song, Honey Revenge, Retrovision, just, I would say if you have not heard of them, the way I heard about them is they're like up and coming artists, up and coming pop punk artists, and I heard on like TikTok, and I heard their song Rerun. I'm like, this shit's fucking slaps, and I'm like, I just like dug deep into Honey Revenge, and by golly, they're a great band, one of the best bands out today, along with Hot Mulligan. I'd say I put Honey Revenge up there. Those dudes fucking kill it. Now we're going into our number one album this year. For those of you who know me or follow the show, could probably make a pretty good guess what album made it this year. Another No Skips album, I believe. It is Blink-182's One More Time. And I know this is the return of Tom DeLonge into Blink-182 after leaving the band pre-2015 before they released their album California. I listened to like California today, but like someone had like an AI replace Matt Skiba with Tom DeLonge, but it was like Tom DeLonge from like the year 2000, and his voice sounds like nothing like it used to, But yeah, One More Time. So for those of you who don't know, this is after Tom rejoined the band, and so there are a lot of infighting within the band. Basically, they've always kind of had there's always been some problems there, and it's always seemed to be a little unintentional for the most part, The first problem they have is Tom wanted to make music as Boxcar Racer, and then recruited Travis to play drums because, it's like I would recruit Travis to play drums for me too, which Mark thought it was like he's trying to do a new band without me, And so that created some bad blood, even though it was just like, how good Travis Barker is as a drummer, and like I just wanted to play on this project, that's what it was. And then they did Plus 44 because I guess Tom wanted to take a break from Blink-182, and he may have started Angels and Airwaves then, I'm not sure, but all that divide. After the Untitled, they went on their first hiatus, and then after Travis's plane crash, they got back together, they released Neighborhoods, and then Tom left again, and they replaced him with Matt Skiba. Instead of doing like Plus 44, they just did Blink-182 with Matt Skiba, And, those albums were good, but I think it's just, Matt Skiba is so fucking good. Like, I love Alkaline Trio, but and I feel like I may have missed their album this year. Maybe it's next year, I don't know. But like, I don't know. It's just the way Mark's voice works. Either Mark needs to be the full-time singer or you have to have someone with such a unique voice like Tom to do it. And is Matt Skiba a better singer than Tom DeLonge? Absolutely. Is he a better guitar player? Absolutely. Did Matt Skiba make Blink-182 a better group? No. But, Alkaline Trio still fucking rocks. So, it's like, it's nothing against Matt Skiba. It's just like, he had to replace Tom DeLonge, And, Tom left before 2015 because I guess, one, he did want to search for aliens, which is true. But also, I think he also mentioned that, touring kind of is a lot, how you go on like a road trip, or like travel to see family. Imagine that, but for like a couple months with no break, yeah, that gets to people. You have to have like you have to be a certain person. Like I meet musicians all the time who are just like, I can't tour. I just can't do it. It's too much on me. I'm like, grow the fuck up. But Blink-182, I think at this point, I don't want to talk about their band drum. I want to talk about this album. So this album comes on the heels of after Tom rejoining the band. And then it's also after Mark Hoppus being diagnosed with cancer. And once, Tom learned about it, got in touch with Mark and he's like, you know what? I need to rejoin the band, get back there. You're going to beat this and then we're going to go through it. And, I think Mark survived his cancer and, I guess, I think his cancer was one that like his mom had and survived from too. It's one of those genetics, I guess, that he can survive from. But, as family members with cancer, I can easily say, just because you have like a curable cancer doesn't mean it's easy, It's not like an easy fucking thing to go through. It's a lot of trauma. And I can't imagine chemotherapy he talks about like, Mark talks about it on the album. And I'm like, it's like you're isolated and you're in weird places and they're doing weird things to your body to hopefully cure something. You're poisoning your body to poison something bad in there to see if you can survive and stuff like that. Like it has to be a stressful time. And so Mark, writes a ton about his, struggle and, when you get a diagnosis like cancer or something like that, your own mortality comes into question. You're just like, holy fuck, I'm going to die, and when like I'm dying, it's different from you're just like, I think like one day I'm going to die. And then I know like one day my mom's going to die and one day other family members going to die and it's going to suck, but it's a kind of a part of life and everything. But like the moment it has to, especially when it's you yourself, like that moment sinks in and you're just like, fuck. And Mark talks about how he thought everyone was gonna, once everyone found out, they were gonna be like, good, you deserve this. And like, I feel like if I got cancer, that's what everyone would say to me. And I feel him right there, but people were supportive and stuff like that. But you talk about that and one more time, the title track of the album, it's, do I have to die to hear you miss me? Do I have to, deep shit, my dad died last year. And so it's like, do I have to die to hear you miss me? I'm like, oh, I miss my dad. I'm like, oh, he's dead too. So it's like, for my dad to hear me miss me, he had to die, and stuff like that, it's hard, especially you talk about Blink-182, like Mark and Tom kind of were kids together, they were best friends as kids and stuff like that, and they go their separate ways and they, you come back and you're like, I don't want to have to do this when we learn one of us is dying, or one of us almost died or stuff like that, It's really putting life into perspective, thinking about that. It's definitely a mature album because usually bands that have been along or been around as long as Blink-182 usually don't write albums like this that are so like the lyrically emotionally grabbing as it is. Like usually they're like singing songs about girls, even though they're like guys in their 50s, like, and they've been married for 20 years, It's like, I don't believe this, but like, when like Tom's like, do I have to die to hear you miss me? I'm like, fuck! Ugh! God damn it. It's just, the other side, yeah, that one got me. It's like, it'll never be the same stage right. And you're like, when you learn that Mark Hoppus stands stage right and he's saying that to other people, it's like, it'll never be the same stage right when I'm gone. And you're like, ugh, god damn, like, bands who are 50 years old, men in their 50s, late 40s, do not write albums like this. But they did. And when that album came out, I listened to it nonstop. I still listen to it. It's like, I go to something else, I go back to one more time. Like, I'll listen to Retrovision, I'll listen to One More Time. I'll listen to So Much for Stardust, I'll go back to One More Time. I just keep going back to it. And really, that's the reason why it's number one. Honey Revenge, Retrovision, was on the list all year. And then once Blink dropped this, like, it was in the fall when they released this. Or it had to be October because I was substitute teaching. I was like, all right, guys, the new Blink album comes out tomorrow, and I'm not coming in. So if you're in my classes, this is what we're going to be listening to for a while. And that's what they have been listening to. And then they hear a cuss word, and I'm like, ooh, they cuss. I'm like, do you want me to turn it off for you because you don't like cuss words? And then they're like, no, I'm not a little bitch. And I'm like, yeah. So anyways, though, those are my favorite albums of 2023. Excited for the albums that are coming out in 2024. Excited for what I'm going to listen to, like Newly Love, Newly Cherish, and everything in between there. So what albums did I miss? Please let me know how you can. So, yeah, and thank you for watching this clip.